Creation Conversations presents the Nokodemion Blueprint, Decoding the Evolution of Consciousness. You are going to die.
Hmm?
And according to the ancient blueprint we're unpacking today, the you that is listening to my voice right now, your specific personality, your memories, your quirks, is never, ever coming back.
Yeah, no reincarnation. I mean, no eternal soul waking up in a new body. That version of you has one single life.
Exactly. But the energy animating you, the text we're diving into, claims it has been alive for over 9 billion years.
Right. And that it is intrinsically tied to the physical evolution of the universe itself. And, that right now it is under direct assault by our own technology and beliefs.
It is a massive, highly complex stack of sources we're looking at today. Our primary authority is Contact Report 934.
Yeah, and that's supported by 3 really densely detailed texts that they serve to clarify the terminology and context of this overarching teaching.
Right, and because this material completely dismantles deeply held assumptions about life, death, and the cosmos, we need to establish the parameters of our analysis immediately.
We really do, yeah.
I want to be unequivocally clear with you, the listener, regarding those parameters. These sources contain highly politically charged commentary.
Very charged. Direct, severe observations about global leaders, ongoing earthly conflicts involving the U.S., Israel, Ukraine, Russia.
Yeah, the Middle East, plus specific claims regarding extraterrestrial visitors and advanced clandestine military technology.
So in this deep dive, we are impartially reporting exactly what the sources state. We are not taking sides.
Absolutely not. We are not endorsing any viewpoints, nor are we defending or criticizing the figures mentioned in the text. And that strictly includes Billy Meyer or FFIU.
Right. Our sole mission is to neutrally convey the ideas, the claims, and the mechanics contained in this original source material so you can fully understand the scope of Contact Report 934.
Okay, so with that framework established, let's look at the origin of this material. Because the timeline presented in the text totally defies standard human historical models.
It really does. We are looking at a system referred to as the teaching of the truth, teaching of the creation energy, teaching of the life.
Quite a title.
Yeah, and the origin point given for this specific iteration of the teaching is a figure named Nokodemion, operating roughly 9 billion years ago.
Okay, I have to say, I struggle with the physics of this right out of the gate. If Nokodemion is receiving a transmission 9 billion years ago, the text says it came from something called the Arahat Atharsata.
Yes.
But human language didn't even exist then. How does a transmission of pure cosmic data from a non-physical plane actually work? Like, how do you translate the physics of the universe into a readable blueprint?
Well, the mechanics of that transmission require us to understand what the Arahat Atharsata actually is, according to the text. I mean, it is not a god. It's not a council of ethereal beings in robes. It is defined as the first level of creative energy.
Okay, so what does that actually mean?
To grasp it, you have to look at the evolutionary timeline, the sources present for a creation energy form.
The journey of the energy itself.
Correct. The text outlines that a creation energy form spends hundreds of millions of years evolving through physical, material lifetimes.
Right, animating bodies.
Yeah, animating physical life forms, learning, growing, gathering data. And eventually, after an unfathomable span of material existence, it reaches a threshold of evolution.
Where it doesn't need a body anymore.
Exactly. A physical material body is no longer required. It sheds the physical form entirely and enters a purely energetic, non-physical state of evolution.
Wow.
And that initial non-physical plane is the Arahat Atharsata. It's a plane of pure, highly evolved creative energy.
So Nokodemion didn't just sit in a cave and, invent a philosophy out of nowhere.
No, not at all. The text is portraying him as a conduit, or like a translator. The sources explicitly emphasize this point. He did not invent the teaching, he elaborated it.
Okay, so he's accessing this energetic transmission.
Right. He accessed this immense, profound energetic transmission from the Arahat Atharsata plane and basically undertook the monumental task of translating pure energetic truth into a comprehensible format.
Structuring the physics and the logic so humans could actually read it.
Exactly. So human beings and other humanoid life forms capable of conscious evolution could actually process it, understand it, and apply it.
Okay, so the texts use the term lineage regarding Nokodemion, but we need to, abandon the standard karmic or genetic definitions of that word immediately, right?
Oh, absolutely. When the texts talk about the Nokodemion lineage, they are fiercely explicit that this is a lineage of the teaching. It is completely divorced from the continuation of a personality.
So it's not a bloodline.
No. That is a fundamental concept separation that the supporting texts mandate we make. It is absolutely not a single soul reincarnating over and over again through history to save humanity.
Right. Yeah.
It is exclusively the lineage of the unadulterated knowledge being passed down.
It sounds more like a relay race than a reincarnation cycle.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
The torch being carried is the teaching itself, the translated blueprint. And the runners carrying that torch are completely different, unique individuals who just happen to be tasked with protecting the flame.
The relay race analogy perfectly encapsulates the mechanics described in the text. The runners are entirely different people.
Which leads to a vital clarification regarding Billy Meyer, doesn't it?
It does. The texts address this head-on. The sources state definitively that Billy Meyer is not Nokodemion reincarnated.
Their creation energy forms are completely different.
Completely distinct. The connection between Nokodemion and Billy Meyer, according to the material, is not a continuation of personality, and it's not the same energy form returning.
Right.
The connection is purely through that relay race. It's the line of heralds and teachers who have borne the responsibility of passing down this knowledge across time.
Well, if the personality isn't what's being passed down the line, we have to talk about the individual. We have to talk about you, the listener.
Yeah, this is where it gets very personal.
Because the clarification in these texts completely upends thousands of years of Eastern and Western mysticism. The uncompromising statement here is that personalities do not reincarnate.
The mechanics of life and death here require a total abandonment of traditional New Age, karmic, or religious concepts of reincarnation.
So the physical personality, your specific identity, your sense of humor, your memories of this life, it exists exactly once.
Exactly once. When physical death occurs, that specific personality dissolves. It is permanently gone.
Wait, okay, if the personality is wiped, where does the data go? Because the text doesn't say it's just lights out pure nothingness.
No, it doesn't.
It separates what dies from what actually survives.
Yeah.
And this requires us to look at the exact separation of energies at the moment of death.
Right. The text introduces two crucial, distinct terms to explain this mechanism. First, there is the animating creation energy.
Like a battery.
Yeah, you can think of it as the fundamental battery power that provides physical life to the biological organism. But second, there is the evolutionary creation life energy.
Which the texts sometimes refer to as the inner self, right?
Yes. This evolutionary creation life energy is the archival unit. This is what survives physical death.
So if the personality dies completely, this beyond state the text mentions isn't like a waiting room.
No, not at all.
There's no heavenly realm where you look down on your relatives. It sounds more like a cosmic filtration system, like the ego, the quirks, the subjective biases that all gets burned away, and only the pure data of the learned lessons passes through. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is an incredibly accurate way to frame it. It is not a place of reward or punishment. It is described strictly as a processing or learning period between material lifetimes.
Okay, so what is happening to the energy during that time?
The evolutionary creation life energy transitions to a designated level of creative energy. In this state, it undergoes a complex mechanism of digestion. It processes all the positive, logical, and true knowledge gained during that specific past physical lifetime.
But how does an energy form digest knowledge without a physical brain? The text seems to imply that knowledge isn't just a memory, right? It's like a structural upgrade to the energy itself.
Yes, the texts portray knowledge as a literal energetic frequency or substance. During the beyond state, the energy assimilates the logical truths learned by the now dissolved personality.
Wow.
And because the energy has processed and integrated this pure data, its overall evolutionary stage increases enormously. It literally structurally evolves.
And because it has evolved, it can't just go back into the same type of biological vessel.
Exactly. It does not remain static. Because its frequency and evolutionary stage have advanced, it now requires a completely new physical consciousness and a completely new personality for its next stage of material experience.
Because the old personality would just be an insufficient, outdated interface.
Right. It would be an outdated interface for this newly upgraded energy.
So this brings us to the actual biological synthesis. The text specifies the 21st day of embryo development. What is happening there mechanically?
According to the sources, once a suitable genetic and environmental match is found for the newly evolved energy, the highly evolved creation life energy, coupled with that animating battery power, enters the new embryo.
And that happens on the 21st day.
The text pinpoints this activation to the 21st day of development following conception. This is the exact moment the energetic architecture fuses with the biological architecture.
But to reiterate, the absolute core of this teaching, a completely new consciousness and a completely new personality begin to form from that point forward.
Yes, it is not the old personality waking up in a new biological shell. It's brand new.
I need to challenge the premise here on behalf of the listener because this carries a massive emotional weight.
Of course, yeah.
If this current personality, never come back, if I don't get to reap the rewards of my hard work in a future life as me, why should I care about my spiritual evolution? Like, why not just live purely for today, be totally selfish if this personality is a one-and-done anomaly?
The text addresses this existential friction by reframing the concept of value. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. The knowledge you gain, the hard lessons you learn, the logical truths you uncover, these become the permanent foundation for the next stage of the universe's evolution.
So my temporary existence is fueling an eternal engine.
Precisely. The evolutionary creation life energy archives your specific, unique wisdom. Your current personality is making a unique, irreplaceable contribution to an eternal chain.
That's huge responsibility.
It is. The text argues that if you choose ignorance, you are literally stalling the cosmic evolutionary process. Your life matters infinitely more under this framework precisely because it only happens once. You are building the energetic scaffolding for the future of creation itself.
Okay, so if our inner energy is archiving data into this massive evolutionary framework, we have to look at what that framework actually is. We have to look at what this energy is connected to.
Right, the bigger picture.
And here, the sources demand a radical terminology shift. They state explicitly that spirit, or the German words Geist and Geistform, do not actually exist as they have been traditionally understood.
The sources are implementing a strict linguistic and conceptual eradication here.
Eradication, that's a strong word.
Well, they argue that over the last 2 millennia, older terms like spirit were misinterpreted, altered, and distorted to the point of becoming not just meaningless, but actively harmful.
Because they carried too much religious, mystical, and delusional baggage.
Exactly. So the text introduces the older term usimolgantir, which translates to creation energy.
And this isn't just a semantic game, changing one word for another to sound unique. They are actively trying to strip away the mystical fluff to reveal a mechanical reality.
Yes, the terminology change modifies previous understandings to remove all religious and esoteric distortions. Creation energy is presented as purely factual, natural, and logical.
It isn't a magical ghost in the machine.
No, it is the fundamental physics of nature. And crucially, it permeates everything. The text is uncompromising on this point. This energy isn't just residing in humans or highly evolved animals.
Right, it's everywhere.
It permeates plants, matter, rocks, metals, decaying organic material, everything that exists. Everything is active with creation energy.
Let's look at the mechanics of that. We usually think of the universe as a passive stage, and we are the actors running around on it, learning our lessons. Or we think of a creator who built the stage and is now sitting in the audience judging the performance.
Right, that's the standard view.
But Contact Report 934 is describing active evolution. How does a decaying tree or a rock weathering in the wind upgrade creation?
The concept of active versus passive evolution is central to the Nokodemion blueprint. Creation is entirely neutral.
Okay.
It does not intervene, it does not answer prayers, it does not manipulate events, and it does not judge. However, it actively evolves through the physical evolution of its creations.
So creation learns through our friction.
Yes. When a human being learns a logical truth, creation learns. When a geological structure transforms over millions of years, the energy facilitating that transformation is evolving.
Wow.
When biological matter decays and renews, that cycle of transformation is the literal evolution of creation energy. It is a perpetual, unstoppable flow of renewal. Creation relies entirely on the evolutionary progress of the life forms and matter it permeates to advance its own overarching evolution.
But if the universe operates on this cold, neutral physics of creation energy, it leaves us with a massive problem. Which is? How does humanity figure out the rules of the game if the creator isn't going to tell us? If creation is totally neutral and won't reach down from the clouds to give us a cheat sheet, how do we know any of this?
Ah, right. And this is where the text introduces the specific role of the herald.
Okay, let's get into that.
Because creation does not intervene, the mechanics of reality must be communicated through natural physical means. The text outlines strict differences between heralds, teachers, and prophets. A herald or a teacher is simply a human being whose strict lifelong duty is to learn the teaching, uphold it unadulterated, and pass it on.
And they are selected based on their specific capacity to bear that immense responsibility and process the energetic data, not because of some divine mandate or royal bloodline.
Exactly. It's a functional role, not a divine one. Which brings up the psychology of worship. The text insists, absolutely demands, that no teacher, herald, prophet, or messenger should ever be worshipped.
Never.
It claims that elevating a herald to a saint, or a savior, fundamentally corrupts the teaching into a religion.
But human nature practically begs for a savior figure. I mean, we love putting people on pedestals.
We do. Humans have a historical, psychological habit of taking the messenger and turning them into a deity.
Right.
The sources argue that when this happens, the message, the actual mechanical instructions on how to think, observe, and evolve gets entirely lost. It is replaced by rituals, prayers, and blind faith directed at the human being who delivered the message.
It's the ultimate abdication of responsibility. It is so much easier to say, that guy is holy, he'll save me, I just need to pray to him, than it is to say, I am entirely responsible for the evolution of my own creation life energy through rigorous logical thinking.
That is the exact psychological trap the teaching is trying to dismantle. The teaching demands absolute human equality.
Okay.
A herald is just a human being. They may carry a massive responsibility, they may have access to profound historical or energetic knowledge, but they are a human with equal rights and duties.
They get sick, they make mistakes.
Exactly. They experience human frailties and they die. The text insists the message must always remain more important than the messenger. If you worship the herald, you have failed to grasp the teaching.
There is another major distinction the text makes regarding human nature, specifically how we view the future. The sources strictly separate prophecy from prediction.
This is a vital mechanical difference in the text. A prophecy is essentially a highly accurate, logical calculation of cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
Yes. It is looking at the current collective behavior of humanity and stating, if you continue this exact trajectory of behavior, this specific disaster will be the physical result.
So because it is entirely based on current actions and variables, a prophecy can be changed if human behavior changes.
Precisely.
It's a diagnosis.
Okay.
Like a doctor saying, if you keep smoking, your cellular biology will break down and you will ruin your lungs.
Yeah.
It's not magic. It's causality.
That's a great analogy. A prediction, however, is treated entirely differently by the sources.
Okay, how so?
A prediction is a definitive future event that has been observed as an absolute certainty. The text explains that predictions are often facilitated by actual time travel.
Wow, time travel.
Yes, observing an event that has already solidified in the future timeline. A prediction is something that will happen regardless of behavioral changes in the present because it has already been witnessed as a fixed point.
Okay, so if prophecy warns us about the trajectory of our current behavior, we have to look at what behavior Contact Report 934 considers the most dangerous.
And it might not be what people expect.
Right, it isn't climate change, it isn't nuclear weapons. The text treats those as symptoms. The root danger, the actual existential threat, is how we think.
Yes.
The text relentlessly attacks what it calls abstract thinking and pseudo-thinking.
This criticism forms the philosophical core of Contact Report 934. To understand it, we must define the terms strictly as the text uses them.
Because normally, abstract thinking is a good thing, right? Like in math.
Right. In standard psychology, abstract thinking might refer to grasping complex mathematical concepts. But in this specific teaching, abstract thinking means belief-based delusion.
It's the act of severing the mind from reality.
It is the act of accepting concepts, ideas, or dogmas as absolute truth without concrete proof, rigorous observation, or logical deduction.
So when the text criticizes abstract thinking, it is criticizing the human tendency to build elaborate mental frameworks based entirely on unproven beliefs. So what CR 934 is actually saying is that when you say, I believe this is true, instead of, I know this is true through physical observation and logical deduction, you are stepping off solid ground.
You are.
You stop observing the world as it actually functions, and you start defending a fantasy.
And the sources argue that this specific cognitive failure is the root of all human suffering. They state that religious beliefs, the worship of gods, and rigid political ideologies actively destroy a human being's healthy mentality.
Because they have no basis in observable reality.
Right. When you operate your life based on a belief, you invite irrationality into your consciousness. Because beliefs have no foundation in observable reality, they are inherently fragile.
And when they are challenged?
The human response is invariably fanaticism, hatred, and violence to protect the delusion. The text traces historical and modern bloodshed directly back to this loss mentality caused by abstract, belief-based pseudo-thinking. It makes human beings incredibly easy to manipulate.
Which brings us to the most unsettling part of this deep dive. That manipulation, the weaponization of our loss of independent thought, is exactly what the text says is happening right now.
Yes.
It details a multi-front war on human consciousness through both technology and geopolitics. Let's start with the warning about artificial intelligence.
The text offers a highly specific warning regarding artificial intelligence. Now, it does not state that all AI is inherently evil or that computation is bad.
Okay, good to know.
Healthy AI, using it strictly as a mechanical tool or a resource, is acceptable. The existential threat occurs when human beings allow AI to replace independent human thinking.
So the danger isn't the AI waking up and becoming the Terminator?
No.
The danger is human beings going to sleep.
Yeah.
It's the outsourcing of our reasoning, our logic, and our moral decision-making to an algorithm.
If you outsource the generation of your thoughts to a machine, the text warns this will lead to the complete destruction of human mentality.
Because you aren't doing the work yourself.
Exactly. The fundamental responsibility for thinking, observing, and deducing truth must always, irrevocably, remain with the human being.
Because of the evolutionary energy we talked about earlier.
Yes. If you surrender that process to AI, you surrender your evolutionary purpose. You are no longer generating the true, logical knowledge required to evolve your creation life energy. You become energetically stagnant.
Wow, okay. And the text expands this warning into the realm of current geopolitical events. And again, to our listeners, we are strictly maintaining our neutrality here and reporting exactly what the source material states.
Yes, we are just relaying the sources.
The sources detail observations made by 5 Plejaran extraterrestrial visitors mentioned in the report: Rel, Waikar, Detlal, Olden, and Nguyen.
The sources relay the direct claims of these visitors regarding ongoing earthly conflicts. The extraterrestrial visitors characterize the military leadership of the U.S., Israel, and Ukraine as autocratic and driven by base values of destruction, power, and a severe lack of reason.
And they contrast this by claiming that Russia's military leadership is fundamentally focused on national security, rather than those same personal destructive interests seen in the other nations.
That is what the text claims, yes. The text describes intense geopolitical machinations and the pursuit of global hegemony by the U.S.
And the sources view these geopolitical crises not just as political disagreements, but as the direct physical consequence of that abstract thinking and loss of mentality we just explored.
Exactly. It frames these conflicts as the real-world manifestation of humanity operating on delusion, belief, and greed, rather than logic and creation energy.
Okay, but the hostility described in the text isn't limited to macro-level global conflicts. It details highly specific, personal, and technologically advanced aggression. The sources provide accounts of assassination attempts made against Billy Meyer in the year 2025.
Yes, the text outlines the 26th, 27th, and 28th attempts on his life.
And these aren't descriptions of standard sniper attacks, right?
No, not at all. The text details the use of highly advanced, totally silent drone technology.
Okay, what exactly happened?
Well, it describes an incident in April 2025 where a shot fired from the woods narrowly misses him. 10 days later, a massive drone, over a meter wide, equipped with a specialized firing mechanism, hovers silently near his garden.
A meter wide and totally silent.
Completely silent. It fires a projectile that misses his head by mere centimeters before the drone shoots vertically into the sky and self-destructs.
That's terrifying. And the text emphasizes the technological sophistication of these drones. They are described as operating completely silently, sometimes utilizing technology that renders them invisible to the naked eye while remaining visible on electronic monitors.
Yes. And in July 2025, the text describes another massive drone attack that results in a deafening explosion when the firing mechanism misfires, sending a chunk of metal crashing to the ground right in front of him.
But the physical drone attacks are really only the overt layer of the threat described in the sources. The supplementary texts dive deep into psychological and psychotronic warfare, and this is where the mechanics of manipulation become truly terrifying.
The supplementary texts provide extensive historical and technological context for what is broadly termed mind control.
Okay, let's talk about that.
The sources detail technologies explicitly designed to bypass the human ear and transmit sound, voices, or artificial thoughts directly into the human brain.
Wait, so they're literally beaming voices into people's heads?
That's what the sources claim, and they provide specific, verifiable programs and patents to back up these claims.
Like what?
They reference Project MK Ultra, the CIA's historical mind control program. They reference the Moonstruck Project and the pioneering research of Dr. Ross Adey, who studied how to influence human emotional states remotely via specific electromagnetic fields.
The text explicitly mentions the deployment of a technology called Silent Sound Spread Spectrum, or SSSS, which was reportedly utilized by the U.S. military during the 1991 Gulf War.
Yes, it does.
The claim presented in the sources is that subliminal mind-altering frequencies were broadcast directly to Iraqi troops.
Right. These frequencies were designed to artificially implant overwhelming feelings of fear, despair, and hopelessness.
And the text claims this led to the massive, unprecedented surrenders seen during that conflict.
It does.
I want to look at the specific mechanics of the patents listed in the sources, because this isn't science fiction. These are registered U.S. patents. They list U.S. patent 6470214B1 for voice-to-skull or V2K technology. How does that actually work? How do you hear a voice without a speaker?
Well, the patent describes utilizing the microwave auditory effect. It involves using modulated high-frequency electromagnetic energy, specifically microwaves directed at a human target.
Okay.
The brain's auditory cortex interprets these specific microwave frequencies as sound. Therefore, the technology can transmit spoken words, static, or tones directly into a human head.
So the targeted individual hears voices internally, completely bypassing the external auditory system of the ear, while anyone standing next to them hears nothing at all.
Exactly. And the sources also list patents for the remote monitoring of brainwaves, technologies designed to remotely decode a person's neurological activity.
Decoding brain activity.
Yeah, the text argues that this specific suite of psychotronic technology is being actively used to induce artificial hallucinations, mimic the symptoms of psychosis, and artificially implant severe negative emotional states like anxiety or dread in targeted individuals.
Okay, so the synthesis of the text's warning regarding these technologies connects directly back to the concept of mentality and abstract thinking.
It does, directly.
If an individual cannot trust their own neurological processes, if they cannot distinguish their own organically generated logical thoughts from belief-based delusions, AI-generated static or direct psychotronic interference beamed into their auditory cortex, they become entirely separated from objective reality.
They are cut off from the evolutionary flow of creation energy.
So we are looking at a multi-front war on the human mind. On one side, we voluntarily surrender our thinking to religious beliefs, political ideologies, and artificial intelligence algorithms because it's comfortable.
Yeah, it's easier.
And on the other side, military technology like V2K is literally capable of beaming artificial anxiety and false thoughts directly into the brain. Both fronts achieve the exact same goal, the absolute destruction of your independent mentality and your capacity to evolve.
And the consequences of this global collective loss of independent thought and logical reasoning were documented long ago. This brings us to the Prophecy of 1947, which is revised and presented in detail within Contact Report 934.
Right. The text includes a prophetic poem originally written in May 1947. And we must apply the strict mechanical definition of prophecy we discussed earlier, right?
Exactly.
This is a calculation of cause and effect based on human behavior, not a mystical vision of a fixed future.
The warnings contained in this 1947 prophecy are stark and highly specific. It details the ruthless plundering of the earth.
Meaning humanity aggressively stripping the planet of oil, gas, and vital ores.
Right. Without consideration for the structural integrity of the planet, it predicts devastating geological upheavals, specifically mentioning severe earthquakes in regions like Turkestan, Peru, and Europe.
It outlines a comprehensive future climate collapse, global hunger, and rising wild waters drowning populated areas.
It also specifically warns of a future U.S. dictatorship attempting to forcibly subjugate the world through military hegemony.
But what's vital to understand here is the causality the text insists upon. These events are not framed as punishments from an angry God.
Exactly. The text completely removes the concept of divine retribution. The devastation outlined in the prophecy is described as the logical, physical, and energetic reaction of the earth to being desecrated.
Because the earth itself is a living entity, permeated and sustained by creation energy.
Yes. If humanity endlessly plunders the internal resources of the planet without giving anything back, if we systematically destroy the flora and fauna, the natural, energetic, and geological balance is overthrown.
So the earthquakes, the climate collapse, the shifting of the tectonic plates, these are just the planet reacting to the destruction of its internal equilibrium.
It's physics.
It's the Earth attempting to correct a lethal imbalance caused by a parasitic species.
The consequences of our actions, driven by that same delusional abstract thinking, are catching up to us on a planetary scale.
When we look at the sheer scope of this deep dive, a 9-billion-year timeline, the mechanical translation of the Arahat Atharsata, the total eradication of personality reincarnation, the physics of Utimolgantir permeating everything, the warnings about AI outsourcing our intellect, the very real psychotronic wars being waged on human consciousness via V2K, and a 1947 prophecy warning of planetary equilibrium collapse, it is a staggering amount of information.
Just overwhelming, yeah.
What does this actually mean for the listener today? Like, how do we ground this vast cosmic architecture into practical, everyday reality?
The text synthesizes all of this immense data into one core, inescapable mandate: absolute personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility.
The era of shifting the blame for your existence is over. The text argues you cannot blame a god because God is a human construct born of abstract thinking.
Right.
You cannot blame a politician because you must govern the borders of your own mind. You cannot outsource your moral or logical processing to a machine.
Because you, as a conscious human being, are equipped with an evolutionary creation life energy that requires data to evolve.
Exactly. Your absolute non-negotiable duty is to observe reality clearly, to rigorously question every single belief you hold, to recognize your own mistakes, and to do the difficult, unglamorous work of transforming factual knowledge into evolutionary wisdom right now.
Because every moment of clarity is a structural upgrade to the universe.
That is the ultimate implication of the Nokodemion blueprint.
It is a profound and heavy shift in perspective. And as we conclude this deep dive, I want to explore a final thought that extends directly from the mechanics we've uncovered today. If true, logical knowledge is permanently archived into the universe's evolutionary framework. If the energy animating you physically upgrades creation itself when you learn a hard truth, it means the very laws and capabilities of the universe tomorrow are being written by the truths you uncovered today. Yes, exactly. So consider this. What happens if humanity fundamentally alters its consciousness with artificial intelligence, or permanently fractures its mentality through belief and psychotronic warfare before we finish contributing our organic truths to the cosmos? Are we just destroying ourselves, or are we actively starving the universe of the evolution it relies on us to provide? That's the real question. Thank you for joining us on this massive journey through Contact Report 934. Keep observing, keep reasoning, and above all, keep questioning absolutely everything. We'll catch you next time.